So today we're going to be talking about some of the improvements to the player animations and the new monster map and woodcutting skill. But first things first, I've moved. It's definitely a lot harder to move when you're self-employed. It's an experience that introduces that nagging feeling of, am I doing the right thing? I'll probably touch more on that topic in a video once I reach the 1-year mark. Moving was a mad and all-consuming dash to find a place in like 1 week. I definitely cannot recommend moving in early January. 0 out of 10. I am looking forward to a new beginning here though, because my last place had pretty much every issue under the sun. Poor insulation, terrible soundproofing, flies and wasps coming in through the gaps in the windows, landlord cruelty and incompetence, damp, and a leaking roof. I think the only issue I didn't have were mice and cockroaches. Thank goodness. All of these issues were incredibly distracting, and naturally they harm mental health and productivity. This place definitely is not perfect, but living here should have a lot less negatives. Now that we've addressed that, let's move on to the game. Last time we introduced a new death and revival flow. We had a simple death animation, and I've improved that since, so let's just trigger that. Did I make it die in the wrong direction? I don't know why it flips, so I'll have to fix that. But anyways, now you can see the soul leaving its body. This is going to tie directly into the revival skill. Click on that, you revive them. I don't know whether I'll give the player expressions, but it has a very shocked face. I mentioned before that you'd get a debuff if you die. So this week I created a new buff and debuff system. You can see here in the upper right, it has negative effects. So you have this tooltip and it shows you how long is left. I also created the buff that will protect new players from death's consequences. I'll just add that so you can see it. Here we have a new Angel's Blessing buff, and it shows the special effect at the bottom. As part of this, I decided to draw the action/skill bar so that I can figure out how large to make the buffs. And I haven't implemented that, but I can show you a sneak peek of what that looks like. This will be the auto button, so you can automatically do actions like mining, or you can automatically enter combat with monsters after they die. And then this will be the button that opens the skill bar. I haven't drawn that yet. You'll be able to have skills to give yourself buffs, maybe even others buffs. You'll also be able to equip consumable items. I wanted to display that here too. I think there's still some time to go before we actually implement the skills, but it'll probably look like this. Since I spent some time looking at shaders in Godot, I also spent some time replacing the manually animated outlines with just a shader instead. This is going to save me a ton of time and headache in synchronizing an outline to the animation. So I'm glad that I did it now. I added these red outlines to monsters to indicate that they are aggressive, and I had to resize all of the sprite animations to be able to show an outline. So with those improvements out of the way, let's look at the new monster map. This map is themed around cacao. We have these little monsters which are essentially chunks of cacao butter. I've hopefully kept the cookie theme intact by having these little cookie rocks. Looking at the map, we have a cacao fruit with its little seeds, bars of chocolate, the cacao nib tree, a woodcutting NPC, and then we go down, and this is the waterfall. I haven't finished it yet, but it gives you an idea of what it will look like. I'm going to animate it, and it'll be splashing at the bottom here. And why aren't there monsters there, actually? Yikes. And there's actually supposed to be monsters down here. I think I need to implement some logic to spawn monsters off the displayed screen. We have a new cat NPC. I'm going to animate it, and this will be the quest giver. It has a little bowl of coffee beans, which I think you shouldn't actually feed a cat. This cat is actually inspired by, I think, my neighbor's cat. It was nighttime, I was building my furniture, and I hear a meow from the window. And for the first few days, this cat would be outside my window, meowing, I think, to get in. And this cat has been on my mind ever since. I don't know its schedule, so I literally look outside the window every day to see whether it's there. But anyway, so I drew this NPC inspired by him. I'll add some pictures if it makes sense too, but yeah, I don't know. I need to get a grip. As you can see, looking at these little cube monsters, I haven't finished animating it. I haven't animated them at all, actually. I just created the nodes so that they would wander around and I could get an idea of what the map will look like. I'll probably animate the monsters after I've drawn the maps. Moving on to the new woodcutting skill. Looking in our inventory, we have a new axe. Super exciting. I like how it came out, actually. And we can equip it and start wood cutting. I could probably make this tree look a bit more like cacao nibs, but I decided to redirect the effort into drawing the tree's drops. So looking at these cacao nibs, you can see we have a new foliage item type, and this tree has other rare drops as well. It drops a cacao fruit, which you can then process into coffee beans later on and perhaps some other things. And it also drops the super rare silver leaf, which will probably be an ingredient or an enhancement for a cooking recipe. I really like the little animation and the wood chips coming off when it hits the tree. I'm planning on doing something similar for mining since it adds just a little bit more you know, pizzazz. In the next update, I will draw and animate the woodcutting NPC. This is probably the hairstyle that I'll choose for it, but I haven't decided what the outfit will look like and whether it will have props. And I'll refine the cat NPC to look more like the actual cat. I initially drew the cat when I had pretty poor pictures of it at night, but now I have better ones, so I'm gonna make it look more like him. And of course, I'll animate him as well. As for the upcoming 2 weeks, now that there's a huge stressor of moving out the way, it should be easier to focus and have more creativity. So I'm gonna be drawing the maps and the item draws for the next 3 monsters. And for some variety, I will also draw the card deck user interface, which will be in the codex. So it will show you all the cards you've collected and the stats it's giving you. I think the game will feel a lot more complete if I finish drawing out the first zone's maps and then draw the world map, and also be able to think about what the boss maps will look like and draw the fishing skill that comes later on in this world. Feel free to subscribe if you'd like to continue following along with this journey to create this culinary MMORPG. I will see you in 2 weeks with the next update.